Yo, this is T.O.T. Thank you for dropping in today if you have. Today's video will be a follow-up to the Fate video that I have put out previously. Alright, so it looks like we have the Flame Reaver in Apocalyptic Shadow for the very first time. The mechanics of this fight are very straightforward. In the first phase, you're basically going to have Flame Reaver plus the 4 clones. You'll just try to take them out as quickly as you can along with depleting the Flame Reaver shield. Try to push it into phase 2 as quickly as possible. Phase 2, Flame Reaver is basically going to be chilling in the background. The 4 clones are going to be in the front. You will want to have your DPS prioritize the clone that has the purple glowing aura, because if your DPS is able to take that one out, your DPS will automatically advance forward and get another turn. I don't believe I executed that mechanic very well in the fight with my Acheron, so that's something that you could take advantage of as a player if you're running into some score issue. After you get through that whole phase, there's going to be a small window of time where the Flame Reaver will not have any more clones, and you'll have that time to take out the remainder of the Flame Reaver shield if there is any toughness bar left. After that, you will obviously go through the phase of trying to DPS the Flame Reaver down, and then basically you'll loop back through the process for the second half of the fight. Very straightforward. I enjoy it quite a bit. I've heard Fainan has been phenomenal for this fight because he just loops things over and over and over again, and makes sense to me. Fainan just recently released, so they dropped the Flame Reaver to kind of compliment him. Can't really get mad at it because I don't think we're getting any new bosses for MOC this go around. In my opinion, the Hoyo Shield, Kuru Bot, White Knight type of rhetoric gets very old. I don't think that this leads to productive conversations to where individuals are opening up their minds. It's just a very easy scapegoat thing that some individuals can just throw out without putting a whole lot of thought into things. Unfortunately for this particular individual, I do believe that they were pretty energy charged after listening to a part of the commentary, and I think that's part of the reason why they had this lash out. And the reason why I'm saying this is because they accused me of being a Hoyo Shield, and if they had listened to the entirety of the commentary in the video, they would have seen that I literally had a criticism toward the lack of changes in Sam's cosmetic, and I also criticized the scaling change that was done for Jin Liu. Things that tend to be a bother to a lot of other players within Honkai Star Rail tend to not bother me as an individual. I think part of that is just because there's a giant age gap between myself and a lot of these individuals, and because of that large age gap, I've been exposed to more games. I've seen more changes in the gaming sphere than some of these other individuals. So for example, when it comes to HP increases, this is constantly talked about. I don't need to make 10 to 15 videos talking about the same topic over and over and over again. I would lose passion for that, and I'm sure I'd be beating a dead horse into the ground. For me in particular, using this as an example, it doesn't bother me because this is pretty natural in any kind of RPG game and in a lot of MMOs. As you progress through these games, the enemies get harder and harder mechanically, and they tend to have more and more HP as well. In order to deal with that, your characters tend to get new mechanics unlocked or new gear. So mechanics could be like new characters in terms of Honkai Star Rail, for example. New gear would obviously be Eidolons or getting a signature light cone, things along those lines. The point that I'm making is because I have experience with RPGs and MMOs, I'm used to HP increases, and I'm used to, hey, the gear that I use today and the things that I'm doing today might not be viable in the future, and I'm gonna have to be willing to switch up my strategy when those times come. This actually reminds me of politics in the US. Now, I'm not gonna be getting into politics that deep. I'm just giving you an analogy to work with. So if an individual is too extreme one way or the other, there are gonna be people who dislike their stance. If a person is more in the middle or takes a more neutral stance, people are going to dislike you because you didn't pick a side. And then if you're somebody who goes a little bit one way or a little bit the other way, then there's gonna be individuals who dislike you just simply because they felt like you didn't go hard enough on your stances or anything along those lines. At the end of the day, no matter how an individual presents their information, somebody's going to dislike it. For me personally, I'm going to continue to try to use a grounded approach, and I think that's been optimal for me personally. I know that won't work for everybody, but I'm pretty content, and I'm going to keep doing things like this. And the primary reason why is because I want to make sure everything that I say is genuine from my POV and truthful from my POV. I'm not going to say things that I don't personally believe in, because if I make a trend of doing that, eventually people are going to find out that I'm being fake. And once that happens, any kind of credibility I have is just going to be killed automatically, because they won't be able to trust me anymore. So like Tupac said, you ain't got a lie to kick it. So when it comes to games in general, I am of the mindset that the more quality games that are out on the market, the better that is for the consumer, because that's less likely that a monopoly will form, and that gives players more options. Because at the end of the day, we all like different things and we all play different things. So for example, with Kuru games, Punishing Gray Raven and Wuthering Waves, these are more combat intense focused games that are more punishing in comparison to any of the MiHoYo games that are currently out. So Punishing Gray Raven and Wuthering Waves are going to provide a more Devil-May Cry-like experience in comparison to what MiHoYo games offer. This is good because Kuru Games is filling in a demographic in a market that might not be fully satisfied through any of the MiHoYo games. Take Shift Up as another company. They released Destiny Child in 2016, and then they released Goddess of Victory Nikke in 2022, I believe. These are both games more on the fan service side, but I have been informed that Nikke does have a really good story. Me, myself personally, I do have the intention on playing their latest game, Stellar Blade, at some point in the future. Probably going to play it on the PlayStation 5 console. At the end of the day, even though I have my biases towards certain companies, if a game is good, I'm going to consider playing it, especially if it's up my lane. That's just how I am. I want to give a huge shout out to Akari Shinji for giving me this ideal for this particular portion of the video. They came in and they had made a notion or a comment indicating that they're looking for different content creators to watch, and that they were glad that they came across my channel. For some of you, your YouTube algorithm might be completely cooked, and there might be a possibility that there might be some good content creators out there that just aren't showing up in your algorithm. I'm going to recommend a couple of individuals that I have watched or I still watch to this day, so that way you can go and check out their content if the description piques your interest. Once again, shout out to Akari Shinji for the ideal for this segment of the video. Alright, the first content creator I have mentioned before in the past, and her name is going to be the Lovely Gamer Girl. The Lovely Gamer Girl is primarily a husbandos only player. She goes through the in-game content modes, and she will use male only teams or primarily male only teams in order to 3-star the in-game modes. So if you're looking for a little bit of a mix-up and team structure approach, the Lovely Gamer Girl might be able to provide that for you. She does play a lot of Pokemon themed music as well, so for people who are a fan of Pokemon, you might be able to get something from her on that aspect. She also has quite a bit of commentary where she'll talk about various things in regards to Honkai Star Rail. Give her a check out if any of those things I mentioned interest you. If there is going to be one content creator that I recommend under the underdog status, that would be a gentleman by the name of Koda. Now, Koda on his channel actually has multiple videos recorded documenting his progressive struggle through each of the respective in-game modes. Now, I feel like this is super important because Koda is a content creator who did not give up. He would literally get people into VC with him to coach him through each of these in-game modes, help him with builds, team comps, and things along those lines. And at the end of the day, because he didn't give up and he asked for help when he needed it, he eventually started getting 3-star in all the in-game modes. Now in these days, he doesn't really struggle nearly as bad with the in-game modes, and he's knocking these 3-stars out a lot quicker than what he used to in the past, but I still have a lot of respect for the underdog story coming out on top over this content. I think this kind of POV perspective is still really good for a lot of new players, because a lot of new players are probably going to be going through some type of similar cycle to where they won't be able to get 3-star in all of the in-game modes, but if they can look at a content creator, see that they made progress over time and eventually got it, that might encourage said new players to keep at it and not to give up. As content creators on the internet, what a lot of us do, including myself, is we only show you a final product. We show you the success run or whatever the case may be, and it's edited, and what we often don't show you is the trials and tribulations, the failures, the anger, the misplays, the things along those lines. A lot of that tends to not to be shown. Sure, some content creators will stream this, but a lot of people don't want to go back and watch an older stream. If I was to give an outside comparison, this would be close to athletes or bodybuilders who post stuff online and they have amazing physiques, or they're doing all this cool, crazy athletic stuff. And a lot of times they only show you the end product. Very rarely, if ever, are they really going to show you the week-to-week progress or even talk about where they came from like years back. More times than not, you just see a final product. And what this may end up doing as a result is it could potentially sabotage certain people on the outside looking in, as they only see that final product and they may think to themselves, I want that here and now, completely ignoring all the work that got put in for that person to hit that point in the first place. And of course, this is assuming that the individual athlete or bodybuilder is natural and not on any kind of performance enhancing drugs. So that is why Dakota is going to be my recommendation as an underdog content creator. In regards to guides, I tend to seek out Braxophone and or Mr. Pokey. I don't think either of these gentlemen need an introduction. They are both huge content creators, and I think they both make fabulous guides. So for the sake of entertainment purposes, there are two content creators that I tend to seek out, and the first gentleman is going to be Kets. Now, what I like about Kets in regards to Honkai Star Rail is he has this thing going on to where he goes through all the content and he tries to beat everything with level 50 characters. I know he was considering leveling Herta up to level 80, and I don't recall if he ever went through the process of doing that fully. He does a lot of editing in his videos. He's very turned up, very energetic, does a lot of yelling. So if that's the kind of entertainment that you're after, Kets might be up your lane. He primarily will make videos for Zenless Zone Zero, Weathering Waves, and Honkai Star Rail. And the second individual that I would like to mention is J Kage. Now, J Kage is super chill, doesn't get involved with drama as far as I'm aware, and he just plays the game and he just loves it and he enjoys what he does. He makes all these little comedic jokes here and there, and sometimes he doesn't read stuff in game and he's confused about what a character does, and so seeing him go through that process and learning characters sometimes is a little funny in itself. He primarily covers content for Genshin Impact, Weathering Waves, and Zenless Zone Zero, but that doesn't mean he won't do a Honkai Star Rail content video or a Honkai Impact 3rd video, because he has done videos for both of those games in the past. So when it comes to Kuru games, there are two different content creators that I can think of as recommendations. The first one is going to be a gentleman by the name of Rexlent. He's pretty much an OG when it comes to making Punishing Gray Raven content, which he still makes to this day. He also makes a lot of Weathering Waves content as well, and then there probably might be a little bit of variety content sprinkled in as well. So I would say give Rexlent a shot if you are somebody who's interested in Weathering Wave content or Punishing Gray Raven content. Switterly is also someone who makes a good amount of Weathering Waves guides. Now, I do believe that Switterly is more on the variety content slide. I know she was doing a playthrough of Expedition 33 at one point in time, but she does still make guides for Weathering Waves nonetheless. I think she's done a few guides for Honkai Star Rail in the past as well, and she's just a very wholesome content creator, very chill, very nice, extremely kind. And I will say this to anyone who does want to check out Switterly's content: don't let the sweet voice and the VTuber model fool you. She is an actual gamer. There was a tournament that she went to with a couple of other YouTube content creators, and as far as I've been informed, it was a slaughterhouse. She murked everybody that she went up against, no questions asked. It was not even a competition. So RIP to those individuals who had to deal with Switterly's wrath. If you have taken the time to watch this or listen to this, I just want to say thank you so much for your time. You be safe out there. Deuces.
The mood is set. Let the show begin! Dreams do come true.
I have something for you.
Every petal, all will be swept away by the wind. Eternal.
Take your positions. Let's improvise.